What if today you could just allow me to be the voice of reason? Maybe the proverbial angel on your shoulder that's here to tell you the good things. What if I could actually tell you that you're not actually behind? Not in your career, not in your family, not in your goals. Now, I know you've told yourself that story in your head of by this big old age, you should be here. Or by that age, you should do this. Or by this date, I should have that. And if you don't make those things, you start carrying around this pressure, this quiet shame that says that you've missed it all. But what if, just what if, that's not true? What if you're not late? But more importantly, that you're actually right on time. Well, welcome back to the Emmanuel Dr. EG3 podcast. Look, I'm glad you're here. Most people call me Dr. EG3. And today we're tackling the message that's been sitting heavy on my heart through many of the conversations that I've had and even time that I felt with myself. It's these pressure of false timelines that we put on ourselves. Maybe you felt it too, that constant sense that you should be further along than where you are, that somehow you're behind in life. And here's the thing, it's exhausting. It makes us chase these milestones, compare ourselves, and sometimes even just miss the beauty of the season that we're currently in. But I want to offer maybe a different perspective today and just consider, what if you're not behind at all? What if you're exactly right on time, right where you need to be? So that's where we're going today. Now, I want to be real with you that I have found myself recently looking at the bank accounts, thinking about where I am in my career and just how could I save more for the girls? How could I better support the growth of my wife's business? And I'm sitting here doing the calculations, thinking about, did I miss it? I think about, am I too old to do a podcast? Is it too late for me to start another entrepreneurial adventure? But what I'll tell you is there's a buddy of mine that I talk to quite frequently, and we'll just call him the rich friend. And it's always funny to me how I'm sitting here thinking that I'm behind, that I don't have the savings. And it was funny the other day, he called and said, hey, if you had an extra X amount of dollars, how would you invest it? And I'm laughing as we're talking to myself and just thinking, holy smokes, I wish I just had a couple of $100 to be able to toss into the stock market casino. And it dawned on me that I'm sitting here thinking that I'm behind, and someone who I perceived is ahead of me is asking me questions, asking me for thoughts, asking me for, I don't want to say advice because that makes me feel some kind of way, but my thoughts on how I would approach it. I can tell you as I'm sitting here thinking that maybe I should have did something different earlier in life. And it makes me feel as though, well, maybe I'm behind. Maybe I should have made different decisions, and maybe I could have foreseen this and foresaw that. But, then I had to stop and pause and ask myself, who is it that I'm comparing where I should be to? Whose race am I running? What am I trying to do? Because if I'm honest, I'm probably right where I need to be. We have the savings. We live responsibly. We're putting money away for the girls and doing all the responsible things for retirement. But when I look closely, I realized that the timeline that I was stressing over, it's based on other people, based on, I guess, the gurus that are out there. Because, we're inundated with so much information. Who is telling us how we should invest, where we should be? I mean, you don't need me to tell you. You guys know that there's all kind of websites and articles that tell you what you should have by certain dates and certain ages. But I realized I have my own calling. I have my own assignments in this life, and it's my race to run. And I remember the hardest race that I ever ran was my senior year of high school. I was asked to jump into the 4x4. Man, and I can tell you, that is one of the hardest races to run. In my opinion, it's too far, too fast. But the key when you're running track is that, yes, you might be in the stagger. Depending on your draw, depending on your speed, you might be in a different lane. But the key of the matter is you only can really run your own race. I know you may feel the pressure of looking at who's in front of you, feeling the breath of the individuals who are coming up behind you, running your best to stay away from that proverbial monkey jumping on your back. But all you could ever really do is stay in your lane, focus on your race. And even when that monkey jumps on your back, just remember, pump your arms and pick up your knees. Because I can tell you that pressure to run someone else's race or feeling that you're behind doesn't really go away. But what I will tell you, what always helps me is when I'm able to stop and really move a little bit behind what I'm feeling and look back and realize all the things that I think I'm running late on, they actually all came into perspective at their own time. So the pressure I was feeling was false. It was self-inflicted. What I thought was the delay, I realized was actually the preparation. The things that I thought I was ready for and what I wanted and what I desired, I realized if I would have got those things when I first thought of it, I probably wouldn't have had the ability to keep them because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready maybe from an educational perspective, a mental perspective, spiritual perspective. So I just come to realize that it wasn't delay. It was actual preparation. So I want us to really just sit with the idea of, or maybe consider, what if you're not behind? Now, the first thing we need to dispense of is the lie. Because there's a lie here that says you're late, you're behind, and you've probably felt it before. You scroll through social media, see someone else posting about their new house or their dream vacation, their last promotion. Or maybe you're just in conversation with someone, maybe a friend or a colleague, and it seems like everybody else is talking about the next big thing they've accomplished. And suddenly, that little voice creeps in. Man, I should be further along by now. I should have done more. I should have done this. Can't believe I'm getting outpaced. I'm behind. But the truth is, those timelines you're measuring yourself against, most of them don't really even exist. They're made up. They're false. See, you're comparing your current circumstances to someone else's highlight reels that they stitched together from all of their best moments. Because no one shows you all the tough stuff. No one shows you the late nights, the tears, the doubt, the years of waiting for doors to fully open. People curate their feed, and usually it's all the highlights. So you're not late. You're just currently comparing yourself to a story that was never yours to begin with. Now, the second thing is, like I just mentioned, I want you to know that preparation is not wasted by any means. Now, for me, this is where the shift really happens, is to realize that in that time of waiting, in that time of delay, is really the preparation that gets me ready to hold on to the things when they come in their due season. Now, here's an analogy. No farmer plants any seeds and expects like the harvest or fruit to happen by the next morning. There's a season where it literally looks like nothing is happening. They put those seeds under the ground, they put the dirt back on top, they water it to the daylight, in the night, in the morning, and the next day, and the next day, and literally it looks like nothing's happening. But I can tell you, everything is happening under the surface. Roots are growing, they're going down further into the ground, establishing their network, reaching down to get all the nutrients from the soil. And the roots grow deep, well before the fruit ever comes up. And if you try to cut that process short, think of it. As soon as it germinates and those little sprouts start to come in, you may never get the harvest if you cut it short. So, your preparation seasons, the jobs that you thought were too small for you, may not have been the ideal, the projects that didn't work out, the years you may have felt unseen, those weren't wasted. They were the roots. They were there that built the depth, the strength, the resilience that you needed to get ready for when it's truly your season. And I want you to hear this. Just because it doesn't look fast doesn't mean it's not working. It's compounding. It's adding up in ways that you can't imagine and see yet. Life is best understood looking back. And remember a couple episodes ago, we talked about investments taking their time. It's the same thing. Small deposits don't look much day to day, but over time, they grow, they compound into something that could be significant. And that's what your preparation is doing for you right now. Now, the third thing I want you to consider is I would like you to start to live your calendar, not someone else's. Now, here's a practical step. You have to stop living on other people's terms. So what I would like you to do is, and I know that sounds tough, like, Emmanuel, I'm not living on anyone else's terms, but if you are influenced, pressured by someone else's, I would argue that you are. I want you to ask yourself, whose timeline are you chasing and where did it come from? Because I know your first thought is, well, no, I thought about that. I wanted to have that by that date. But I would challenge you, where did it come from? And guess what? Sometimes it's of the best intentions. Sometimes family expectations can be imprinted on you. Is it what culture told you to do or what you should have at a particular time? I was talking to someone the other day and they told me the best time for someone to be a millionaire was 27. And in my head, I'm just thinking, holy smokes, did I miss that boat? Did I miss that calling? I also want you to think about, is it through the media and the things that you consume that maybe makes you believe that that's a reality? There was a rapper that said he, was 25 years old, worth 25 mil. But once you start to identify where all of this pressure is coming from, you can begin to just release it. You can say, that's not my race. That's not my assignment. And I'm choosing to let it go. Because your life has its own rhythm, has its own pace, has its own calling. And when you realign with that, you stop running frantic laps around someone else's track. So here's a question for you. What would your days look like if you stop running on someone else's stopwatch? How much lighter would you feel if you believed you were right on time? And the last thing that I want to talk to you about is maybe some encouragement that I want to leave you with. And I want you to know that you're not late. You're not behind. Everything you've walked through, the wins, the losses, the seasons of joy, the seasons of silence, they've all positioned you for this exact moment right now. I guess fortunate or unfortunate, just depends on how you think of this. Right here, listening to me. See, you may not see it right now, but you're carrying exactly what you need for the season you're in. The lessons, perspectives, the built up resilience through the preparation, you already have it all. So stop disqualifying yourself, because I know how easy it is to say is, you want to delay it. Well, I'm not ready yet. Or I need more time, or I need more training, or I need more experience. Stop telling yourself that your window of excellence is already passed. If you're still breathing, it hasn't passed. You're not behind. You're equipped. And I would argue you're right on time. So here's my challenge to you this week. Ask yourself, what would I do differently if I truly believed I'm not behind? What would you do? Would you finally start that project? Would you rest without guilt? Or would you celebrate what you already have? I want you to take one intentional step this week that reflects the truth that you are right on time. So, If this episode encouraged you, I would love for you to, somewhere on this page, click the subscribe link so you don't miss any of the episodes. Share it with someone else who you've interacted with that might be carrying this same pressure that we've talked about today. And if you want to go deeper, as you know, you can get in contact with me at my website, emmanuelgeorge.com. But the truth is, you're not behind. You're exactly where you are supposed to be. And I just always want you to know, I love you much.